Hi everybody, this is my statistics project. My hypothesis was that I claimed that at least 20% of the student population at College of St. Mary is enrolled full-time and have children living at home. So my null hypothesis is that the probability is greater than or equal to 0.20, and the alternate hypothesis is that it's less than 0.20. My claim is the null hypothesis because I'm claiming that at least 20% of the student population is enrolled full-time and have children living at home. So why my hypothesis matters to me, I'm not the most creative person, so coming up with things like this on my own I usually struggle with, but I am expecting my first child. That's a picture of her from one of our sonograms. But she's due in March, and I'm just interested to know how many other moms there are on campus. So I think it's important to know this because with that data, more could be done. I could do more to find out how these moms are successful with their classes, how they balance school and having a family, and what support systems they have. So this is my data set. I had 75 total responses of yeses or nos. So in my case, because I'm doing probability, there's two options. So in this case, either yes or no. And for my purposes, excuse me, a yes answer would be a success. So more about my data. It's categorical, so either the person is enrolled full-time or they're not, and in addition to being enrolled full-time, they have to have kids at home to answer yes. So a success for my project, as I said, would be a yes, and a failure in this case would be a no. I got my sample a couple different ways to make sure that I had a large enough sample set. I asked students on campus, so I went around and just asked them that question, are you currently enrolled full-time and have children at home? And I went to different locations, so I hung out in the commons, the cafeteria, the library, asked people who were in classes with me, and then in addition to that, to try to reach a broader amount of people on campus that I might not otherwise interact with, I posted a link to SurveyMonkey on the CSM student homepage. So I had some people answer that way, and then I also sent out a mass email to everyone in my classes to ask if they would also participate by answering that survey. And I liked that option because then it's anonymous and I'm not being biased with who I pick to answer. So I tried to, like I said, I try to include a variety of students and not limit it to one particular area. So my sample represents the entire population of full-time students at College of St. Mary who have children. And I think that my sample does a pretty good job. I got more responses than I was initially expecting. And I think in the future, of course, always having a larger sample size will improve the results of any study. So here's a visual representation of my data. As you can see, 49 students answered no to whether they were a full-time student and had children at home, and 26 answered yes. Testing my hypothesis. So in StatCrunch, I use proportion stats since this is a proportion, and my null hypothesis was that it was at least 20, so then my alternate is less than 20%. And then there's the data down there. So if you look at the sample proportion, 34.67% of my sample answered yes, and the p-value was 0.9993. So what do these results mean? In the sample, 34.7% of the students are enrolled at College of St. Mary full-time and have children at home. So with proportion statistics, we want to use the p-value to make a conclusion in a hypothesis test. To do that, we need to compare the p-value to a level of significance. If p is less than alpha, then we'll reject HL. And if p is greater than alpha, we will fail to reject HL. So let's look at it for my specific data set. Assuming a level of significance 0.05, our p-value is 0.999, and that's greater than alpha. So at a 5% significance level, we can infer that there is not enough evidence to reject my claim that at least 20% of students enrolled full-time at College of St. Mary have children at home. So reflection. The whole process I've gone through in this project, it's definitely been something that I've had to kind of alter my thinking towards. I'm enrolled in nursing. I'm in my junior year. So taking time out of my studies to focus on math definitely takes a different type of approach. It's more crunching numbers and very factual, and it's nursing. It's you get caught up in the theory, and but it's been it's been fun. I have enjoyed kind of the break from trying to just memorize medications and doing health assessments and letting my brain crunch numbers. So I've actually really enjoyed it. I always liked math growing up and in school. So going through this project, it's been kind of fun to put everything that we've learned all together into one final cumulative project, and then also getting to pick the data. That was kind of fun. What was the most challenging? I think the most challenging for me is always getting the data and correctly identifying my sample and population, which sound like they should be some of the simplest things to do, but I just have a hard time with that. What I've done well, I feel like I did a pretty good job staying on top of deadlines, and I asked for help when I needed it, and then I utilized a lot of my resources. So in homework, if there was a question that I didn't understand, I liked the option that you could see an example done. And so I am big on understanding how and why things are happening before I will just go to StatCrunch to let it do it for me. That's cool too, but I like to really understand the theories and the concepts behind what I'm doing. What I liked or disliked, I liked that pretty much every week built on what we learned previously. And even though we were learning something new every week, we kind of kept incorporating it. I think that'll be helpful on the final too, since it's cumulative. Instead of just forgetting stuff that we learned at the beginning of the semester, we've continued to implement those throughout. And then what improvements I would make in the future if I did this class again, or what I would suggest to others, is I would definitely suggest writing down your own strategies and tips on to how to manipulate StatCrunch. There are a lot of times when I would go to do a homework problem or a final review, and something was from a while ago, and I was like, gosh, I know how to do this, but I couldn't remember exactly how to manipulate it in StatCrunch to get the answer. And then just asking questions. Dr. Chang does a great job of making herself available for tutoring opportunities. And then there's Kelly in the Achievement Center. So my suggestions to others are always to just ask for help when you need it and don't get behind, especially in an online class. It's easy to kind of forget about deadlines, and also take advantage of extra credit opportunities. So that's all I have for my project. Thank you.